You were taught that being nice is a virtue. Say please and thank you. Be agreeable. Don't make waves. Put others first. Smile even when it hurts. And for a long time you believed that the nicer you were, the more people would respect you, appreciate you, love you. But here's what nobody told you and what psychology has been quietly confirming for decades. Being too nice doesn't earn you respect. It destroys it. And the painful irony is that the harder you try to be liked, the less people actually value you. Today we're going into the dark truth about niceness, what it signals to other people's brains, why it makes you a target, and what you need to start doing instead. This is going to be uncomfortable, but uncomfortable truths have a way of changing everything. Let's start with the most brutal reality first. When you are consistently, unconditionally nice to everyone around you, when you never push back, never say no, always accommodate, always soften, always shrink yourself to avoid conflict, you are not being seen as kind. You are being seen as safe to use. Human psychology is wired to assign value based on scarcity and resistance. Things that push back have boundaries. Things with boundaries have value. A door that swings open for anyone who touches it isn't a door anyone respects, it's just an opening. And that is exactly how the world begins to treat people who are too nice. Not with cruelty necessarily, but with casual disregard. You become the person people call when they need something. The one who gets the last-minute requests. The one who gets talked over in meetings. The one whose opinion gets heard last or not at all. You're present everywhere but centered nowhere. Here is the psychology behind why this happens. There is a well-documented principle in human behavior called the contrast effect combined with operant conditioning. When someone is consistently warm and accommodating no matter what you do, your brain stops registering their warmth as meaningful. It becomes background noise. It's not that people consciously decide to disrespect nice people. It's that the brain is wired to stop responding to constant, unchanging stimuli. If a light is always on, you stop noticing the light. If a person is always giving, you stop noticing the gift. And worse, your brain starts to normalize receiving from that person. You stop feeling grateful. You start feeling entitled. This is not a character flaw in the people around you. It is basic neuroscience. And the too nice person is unknowingly training everyone in their life to take them for granted. Now let's talk about what being too nice actually communicates below the surface, because this is where it gets dark. When you consistently prioritize other people's comfort over your own, when you apologize for things that aren't your fault, when you over-explain your decision, when you laugh off disrespect, when you stay when you should leave, you are sending a signal. That signal is, I do not believe I am worth more than this treatment. You may not say those words. You may not even consciously think them. But behavior communicates louder than intention, and people read that signal. Some do it consciously, most do it unconsciously. But the result is the same. You get treated according to the value you demonstrate, not the value you actually have. The world doesn't reward potential, it responds to presence. And a person who constantly bends themselves to fit the needs of others is not presenting a person. They're presenting a service. Think about the people in your life you respect most. Not the ones you like, the ones you genuinely respect. The ones whose opinion actually lands with weight. Are they the ones who agreed with everything you said? The ones who never pushed back, never had a strong stance, never made you feel even slightly uncomfortable? Almost certainly not. The people we respect most are the ones who have something they won't compromise, a line they won't cross, a standard they hold themselves to regardless of how it's received. We respect people who cost something, who are not endlessly available, who say what they mean even when it's not what we want to hear. There is a reason we use the phrase commanding respect. You don't receive it passively. You don't earn it by being agreeable. You establish it through consistency, standards, and the quiet willingness to walk away from what doesn't serve you. Now here is something that most people in the self-help world refuse to say directly. A significant portion of being too nice is actually not about other people at all. It is a fear response. It's conflict avoidance dressed up as generosity. When you say yes to something you want to say no to, be honest with yourself for a moment. Is it because you genuinely want to help? Or is it because you are afraid of the discomfort that comes with disappointing someone? When you laugh off a comment that actually stung, is that graciousness? Or is it the path of least resistance because confronting it feels dangerous? When you stay silent in a room where your opinion matters, is that humility? Or is it the fear of being rejected, ridiculed, or seen? Too much niceness is often a sophisticated survival strategy developed in environments where it wasn't safe to have needs, where expressing yourself led to punishment or rejection, where love felt conditional on performance. And that strategy may have protected you once, but it is costing you everything now. The person who never disagrees is not seen as easygoing. They are seen as having nothing worth disagreeing about. The person who never asks for anything is not seen as low maintenance. They are seen as someone who doesn't value themselves enough to ask. The person who always forgives instantly, who never lets anyone feel the weight of what they did, who rushes to smooth things over before the other person has even processed their own behavior, that person is not seen as evolved. They are seen as someone who can be wronged without consequence. And people, even good people, even people who love you, will unconsciously push to find the edges of a person who seems to have none. It is not malicious. It is human. We are wired to probe for limits. When we find none, we don't feel grateful. We feel unsettled, and then we feel permission. Stay with me because in part 2, we get into exactly what to do about this. The specific shifts that don't require you to become cold, harsh, or someone you're not, but that will fundamentally change the way people perceive and treat you starting from your very next interaction. Welcome back. In part 1, we broke down the psychology of why being too nice destroys your respect, how it trains others to take you for granted, what it signals about your self-worth, and why so much of it is rooted in fear rather than genuine generosity. Now we get into the shift, because the goal is not to become mean. The goal is to become real. And real people, people with actual edges, actual opinions, actual limits, are the people the world takes seriously. The first shift is learning the difference between kindness and compliance. Kindness is something you choose from a position of strength. Compliance is something you perform from a position of fear. Kindness says, I want to help you with this. Compliance says, I'm afraid of what happens if I don't. Kindness has a limit. Compliance doesn't, because its whole point is to avoid the discomfort of having one. From this moment, start auditing your yes responses. Not to become less generous, but to make your generosity mean something again. A yes that costs you nothing is worth nothing to the person receiving it. A yes that comes from genuine choice from someone who also knows how to say no carries actual weight. It tells the other person, I chose this. I chose you. That is a gift. The endless yes tells them nothing except that you were available. The second shift is letting discomfort exist without rushing to fix it. Too nice people are allergic to awkward silences, unresolved tension, and other people's displeasure. The moment someone seems unhappy, the too nice person mobilizes, apologizing, explaining, softening, offering something. This is the core behavior that trains people to use emotional discomfort as leverage over you. When you stop rushing to resolve other people's discomfort at your own expense, something powerful happens. People learn that their displeasure doesn't automatically produce your surrender, and they begin slowly, sometimes reluctantly, to regulate their own emotions instead of outsourcing that job to you. This is not cruelty. This is the most honest thing you can do for a relationship. Let the silence breathe. Let the tension sit for a moment. You do not need to fix every uncomfortable feeling in every room you walk into. That is not your job. It never was. The third shift is developing what psychologists call a non-anxious presence. This is the quality that the most naturally respected people carry in every room, the ability to be calm and grounded without needing external validation to stay that way. Most too nice behavior is driven by an invisible anxiety, the need to know in real time that everyone around you is okay with you. You watch faces. You monitor tone. You adjust yourself in response to the smallest signals of disapproval. And all of that monitoring is visible, even when you think it isn't. People can feel the need in you. And need, when it's this chronic, does not inspire warmth. It inspires withdrawal. The antidote is not pretending you don't care. It's building an internal sense of security that doesn't depend on constant confirmation. You do this by having commitments to yourself that you honor even when no one is watching, by making decisions based on your own values rather than anticipated approval, by tolerating the temporary discomfort of someone being unhappy with you without it becoming a crisis. Every time you do this, every time you hold your ground and the world doesn't end, you build something. You build the kind of self-respect that other people can feel from across a room. The fourth shift is letting your opinions have edges. There is a certain kind of person who, when asked what they think, instinctively softens their answer before they've even finished forming it. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe kind of sort of it seems like possibly. That linguistic collapse before anyone has even pushed back is the verbal equivalent of handing over your credibility before anyone asked for it. Your opinion does not need a disclaimer. Your preference does not require an apology. When you speak with that constant hedging quality, you are training people to hear your words as suggestions rather than statements, as background noise rather than information worth processing. Start speaking in complete sentences. Finish your thoughts before you start softening them. Let your position land before you rush to cushion it. You will be surprised how quickly the people around you adjust to a version of you that takes up a little more space. The fifth shift is the hardest one, and it involves accepting that some people will not like the less compliant version of you, and that is not a problem to be solved. Here is the truth that two nice people are most afraid of. The people who benefited most from your over-accommodation are not going to be pleased when you stop. The person who got your endless yes is not going to celebrate your first no. The person who could wrong you without consequence is not going to applaud you for finally letting them feel the weight of it. Some of them will call you cold. Some will say you've changed, and they won't mean it as a compliment. Let them. Because the people who only valued you for your compliance were never actually valuing you. They were valuing your function. And you are not a function. You are a person. When you start showing up as one with limits, with opinions, with the ability to disappoint, the people who were only there for your servitude will leave. And the space they leave behind will be filled with something you may not have experienced in a very long time. Relationships where you are actually chosen, not just used. Here is what this all comes down to. Respect is not given to the person who wants it most. It is given to the person who needs it least. The people who command the deepest respect in any room are not the ones performing the hardest for approval. They are the ones who seem, at some fundamental level, complete without it. Not arrogant, not cold, just settled, whole, present. They are kind when they choose to be kind. They help when they genuinely want to help. They give when giving comes from abundance rather than fear. And crucially, they are willing to be disliked, disagreed with, or walked away from without losing their sense of who they are. That is the foundation of respect. Not toughness, not dominance, not the performance of confidence. Just the quiet, unshakable knowledge that your worth does not rise and fall with other people's opinions of you. You are taught that the world rewards the nice, but the world rewards the real. And the most courageous, most radical thing you can do in a world that trained you to keep shrinking is to take up exactly the space you deserve.